You're listening to Puma Podcast.
As the feud between the Philippines' ruling political families, the Marcoses and Dutertes, escalates, their machineries of online influence have sought to bend the narrative in their favor. One character has sought to stand out, Amy Marcos, who snagged the last Senate seat at the recent midterms. She's also aligned herself with Vice President Sara Duterte, while publicly decrying her brother. Political sociologist Ash Presto argues that a closer look at her history can reveal what some of her motives might be. In part 1, we talked about the pro Marcos influence operation that was found to be using ChatGPT. This time, we talk about another aspect of their influence, how part of the family brand has been fashioned by the president's elder sister. This is Regine Cabato for Teka Teka News, powered by Puma Podcast.
Marcos Jr. is not actually the chosen heir. It has always been the sister, Amy Marcos. So you actually can see some of the diary entries of the father, painting Amy as the smart one, the intelligent one. Si Amy yung mana sa kanya. Si Bongbong naman, siya yung perennial problem. So, lazy, pasaway, and they wanted to send him off to the UK para magtinu-tinu siya sa boarding school. But then the mom, Imelda Marcos, did not want to send Bongbong Marcos away. So, there you go. Meron pang Ilocano expression, yung mga teachers ni Amy Marcos, and I learned this from Ambeth Ocampo in one of his podcast guestings. Sabi niya, ti paryahaan nga agbunga ti tarong. That's an Ilocano phrase. It means, ang ampalaya, hindi siya magbubunga ng talong. So dahil matalino si Marcos Sr., matalino din si Amy Marcos.
You wrote recently about Amy Marcos's motives and political play. For those who haven't read it, yung title ng article ni Ash ay Amy Marcos Claims the Family Legacy. It's out on New Mandala. Sobrang interesting analysis niya. But please, Ash, for our listeners na hindi pang nakakabasa nito, please tell us your read of Amy Marcos.
Yan. Amy Marcos is trying to claim the family legacy. That's the main argument. Si Amy Marcos, tinatry niya na kuhanin yung legasiya ng tatay niya. Kasi yung legasiya ng tatay niya ang nagpanalo sa kapatid niyang si Bongbong Marcos. Ngayon, hindi sila magkasundo ni Bongbong at kailangan niyang mag-survive politically at isa sa mga pinaka-foolproof na magsusurvive siya ay kung makuha niya yung legacy ng tatay niya at ma-turn niya towards herself. Yung ganong klase ng legacy. So, I'll provide one example para lang clear yung argument. So, yung video niya right before the May 2025 elections, yung sinabi niya na, sabi ni Inday Sara, magpalit na ako ng apelido. Sabi ko, Inday, Marcos ako. I'm me. Sabi niya. So, inuun niya yung legacy. Pero, yung negative sides of the legacy, dinidisown niya. So, yung negative sides of the legacy right now, na ginagawa ni Bongbong Marcos Jr., ay yung pagka-lame duck, pagka-passive ng administration niya. Ngayon, ipinahid niya yon sa mga Araneta at mga Romualdez. So, yung pagiging passive ng mga Marcoses, hindi yan Marcos, Araneta yan, Romualdez yan. Yung pagiging magulo nila, hindi kami yan, Araneta yan, Romualdez yan. Hindi kami nagpapatakbo nung gobyerno ngayon. And by doing so, she can actually criticize this administration without actually taking a chip off of the Marcos legacy while owning the family legacy at the same time. Pero I think I also want to provide like the rationale for writing this piece. I talked to different young people, all Gen Zs, and I talked to different ones who had different political opinions. I talked to a lot of young people supporting the Marcoses. Tinatanong ko sila, bakit nyo sinusuportahan si Bongbong Marcos for president noong 2022? Sabi nila, ang dami daw kasing nagawa ng mga Marcos sa Ilocos Norte. Every single time, no fail. Tinatanong ko sila, anong magbigay po kayo ng isang policy or program na ginawa ng mga Marcos na tingin nyo ay maganda kaya nyo iboboto si Bongbong Marcos? Every single time. They would mention something that was implemented by Amy Marcos. Every single time, no fail. So you now see efforts by Amy feeding into the popularity of Bongbong Marcos. I went back this 2025
Yeah.
Different participants now. Different participants, but
Same demographic.
exactly same demographic and roughly same field site. Sinabi nila, si Bongbong Marcos Jr., they cannot exactly name him as a strong man. They cannot exactly name him as an authoritarian because up until now, nagbe-benefit pa rin siya dun sa foundation laid by the sister and the father. Magkakaibang mga tao to ha, pero
Mm.
same demographic, same region, hanggang ngayon, yun pa rin yung sentiment nila. Kaya sabi ko, oh my God, there's something here. And people, I've seen people continuously asking, ano ba talaga ginagawa ni Amy Marcos? So I was just trying to provide more context on the kinds of legacies on the ground that the Marcoses have, at least in their home turf of Ilocos Norte. One concrete example, last na, Reg.
Go.
Ang slogan ng Ilocos Norte ay, Ilocos Norte, I'm in.
Oh.
Tinatanong ko sila lagi. Lahat ng mga estudyante ko tinatanong ko, oh, look at this slogan. Ano tingin nyo? Tapos iba-iba yung mga sagot ng mga estudyante ko because I used to teach for a long time in UP Diliman and Ateneo. Ano, mali po yung grammar. Parang ang weird po. Dapat kasi I'm in Ilocos Norte. Ganyan sila. Pero once I actually highlight the first two words, I and M, I'm in.
Yeah.
Ayun. No fail. That sounds like Amy Marcos. Even the slogan up until now of Ilocos Norte is being held by Amy Marcos, at least symbolically.
Absolutely. And mahilig siya sa mga wordplay, diba? Even her whole, like, I'm me.
Yes.
Mahilig siya sa mga ganyan, no? Pero gumagana ba, Ash, yung ganitong style ni Amy? In the sense na, does she succeed in making sure that the association between these projects and her is exclusively or mostly at least associated with her lang at hindi yung brother niya, for example?
Actually, double whammy yun for Amy Marcos because she needs the legacy. So in order for her to have something that will be impactful, she needs the legacy. But you know, the legacy also feeds more her brother, than her. Just to make the conversation and the examples more recent lang. So recently may example si Sal Panelo. Kasi si Robin Padilla, sinabi na niya na susuportahan niya 100% ang Sara-Amy tandem sa 2028. And then here comes Sal Panelo saying, bakit mo susuportahan? Marcos pa rin yan.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to mention exactly that because when I read your piece sa New Mandala, it became very apparent to me the ambition of Amy still for national office, not just at the Senate level, but really to be a president, vice president, or president even. You didn't say that outright in your analysis. But when I read your analysis, that's what became clear to me, no? So guys, basahin niyo yung sinulat ni Ash, no? Because it really goes to show na Amy is one step ahead in terms of planning how she's seen, yung brand niya, yung projects niya. And one of the things also na inargue mo dun sa article is that kaya siyang dumidikit kay Sara because she needs to consolidate her base in a way that's more independent than what her family name alone or what her brother alone can muster. Yes. So kaya siyang kumapit doon kay Sara, no, para makakuha siya ng sway sa Mindanao where the Marcoses would not otherwise have had a hold, ano. So ano yung basa mo, Ash? Ito sa mga recent pronouncements, itong recent pag-float ni Robin Padilla na Amy Sara na in 2028. At yung reaction naman ng ibang nasa pro Duterte camp about it. Is what Amy is doing going to pay off or is she also overestimating herself? Ano yung basa mo?
It's actually very hard kasi ang daming forces at play. So, ang ginagawa niya ngayon, since she actually knows that she will have a very hard time with the Duterte supporters. She knows that. That's why all she says now is that all that's happening to Sara Duterte, hindi yan Marcos, Romualdez at Araneta yan. So yun yung play niya doon. So hindi Marcos ang nagpapabagsak kay Sara Duterte, Romualdez at Araneta. Malalim ang friendship ng Duterte at Marcos. Ito yung lagi niyang pinuput forward. So parang and by doing that, actually, she's also painting the brother as a lame duck, which she has so far endeavored to paint in different types of media, like yung kanyang Made in Malacanang at yung kanyang martyr or murderer. So she's trying to paint indirectly the brother as a lame duck, blundering president. And she's trying to paint Bongbong Marcos as the one who actually broke the pact. It wasn't Sara Duterte who betrayed Uniteam. It's Bongbong Marcos through Aranetas and Romualdez. Ako, committed pa rin ako to the pact. Andito pa rin ako, susuportahan ko si Sara. Ako na ang vice president niya sa 2028. And para yung messaging na yun mag-stick sa mga tao, kailangan mag-cooperate ng napakaraming mga tao. And kailangan also, yung iba't ibang mga non-partisan appearing national level politicians ngayon, kailangan din nilang luminya dun sa ganung klase ng naratibo. And they also have their own interests, all of these political families. You don't know, what will happen. I mean, just think about the Villar's side.
Yeah, of course. Kaya hindi ba pwede rin mag-backfire yung ganitong approach ni Amy in the sense that tinatalikuran din niya supposedly ang chosen inheritor ng Marcos family. At least twice now, no? It seems like Sara Duterte has made veiled threats to the Marcos family and to Amy in particular. Syempre, there's the outright threat na i-assassinate daw niya si President Marcos. Conditionally, quote and unquote. Pero meron din mga veiled threats. First, nung sinabi ni Sara na ihuhukay daw niya yung bangkay ng ama nila, di ba? Pangalawa, itong recent lang na lumabas this week, yung quote and unquote joke niya, na hostage daw niya si Amy. At, nakita mo ba to, Ash?
And I haven't seen that actually.
Okay, yung joke daw, kuno na hostage daw niya si Amy. And she expects Amy to be the one to bring Duterte back to the Philippines because her brother daw was the one who sent him to The Hague. So, parang nung nabasa ko siya, parang medyo napataas yung kilay ko in the sense na parang nare-realize ba ni Amy na this is actually a threat? Is she playing with fire and is she reading the situation correctly? Like, what do you have to say about etong ganitong frenemy relationship between the two most powerful political families in the Philippines?
Yeah. Well, if you're in Philippine politics, you're always gonna play fire with fire, especially if you're a member of a political dynasty. So, yun yung unang sasabihin ko. And I have a lengthier, actually a full-blown chapter analyzing the local and national political strategies of Amy Marcos. The book chapter lists and maps out the different political positions held by both Amy and Bongbong. Amy was the first one who held a national level position nung siya naging chairman ng Kabataang Barangay. But the interesting thing is, Bongbong was first to be Ilocos Norte governor. But when Bongbong was Ilocos Norte governor, that was when he went away to study in the US, Wharton Business School. So he was actually an absentee governor, and that stuck. If you talk to different, even politicians in Ilocos Norte, different policymakers, different people there, they will always remember Bongbong as being an absentee governor. So here comes Amy Marcos now, being labeled as a rockstar governor kasi napakarami niyang projects doon sa tenure niya as governor sa Ilocos Norte. And I know this because when I was younger, I'm not from Ilocos Norte, I'm from Ilocos Sur. Ilocos Norte children will always have much more support than us in Ilocos Sur. So we were always feeling left out because we were comparing ourselves with support being granted to Ilocos Norte competitors. Si Amy noon, sumasama pa siya minsan dun sa mga regional press conferences for the Ilocos Norte competitors. And she was sending different debaters also to the US for training. And ang dami niya mga scholarship programs. CRIB was one of the scholarship programs that she had. So even before, very conscious na siya of where she is in terms of that legacy. Her position in Philippine political landscape, specifically locally, and yung targeting niya of young people. Otherwise, why would you have that kind of CRIB scholarship program targeting young people, and by doing that also securing the votes of the parents and securing the support of these younger people when they themselves become professionals, which is happening now actually. I see some of the
Yeah.
scholars defending Amy Marcos.
Okay, that's really interesting to note. And I'm really glad you mentioned that, no? Na kapag na-capture mo yung youth vote with these projects, it pays off kasi capture mo rin yung family in a way. That's quite an interesting way of na hindi pa masyadong I think hindi pa siya masyadong aware yung mga tao about it. And I mean is trying to win that demographic, you would
No,
say.
she has already won that demographic. So this is the more important thing.
Okay.
Merong,
It's so complicated.
merong distinction between recognizing the heir of the Marcos family and recognizing who's actually the better politician. So I'll give you another example. And I have a lot of examples because I do a lot of fieldwork on this. Para sa ibang mga tao, mas magaling si Amy Marcos kasi very hands-on siya. So, may isang instance, she visited the Mariano Marcos General Hospital. She saw it was very dirty. And then, galit-galit siya. She went on the radio. She said she'll do something about it. I think there was also some, sacking of different high-level officials of the hospital that was involved. And then, umayos yung hospital after niyang makita. She's also very hands-on in terms of agricultural issues in the province. So there's that. But on the other hand, they also know that Amy Marcos can be unforgiving. Nakakatakot magalit si Amy Marcos. Unlike Bongbong Marcos, na pag nagalit yan, mas passive yan magalit. Si Amy daw, and this is something that I hear during my fieldworks from my participants. This is not something from me, coming from me. This is something coming from my participants. Mas nakakatakot galitin si Amy Marcos. And hindi ko pala nasasagot yung may mention yung pangalawang point ko, Reg. Sorry. I think everything that Amy is doing now is a huge, huge gamble. But it's a gamble that she cannot pass up. Kailangan niyang sumugal. Otherwise, she will fade. Walang mangyayari sa kanya. She will just be another politician. She will not attain the kind of legacy, or she will not attain that place in Philippine history if she will not gamble now. At least in the 2025 elections, that gamble has at least paid off kasi pumasok naman siya kahit number 12 siya.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of that. Kasi yung clarification na yon, yung distinction na yon, parang to somebody who's an outsider, I think to Ilocano culture and to the inner dynamics of the Marcos family, mukhang contradictory siya that people might recognize Bongbong, but they would still vote for Amy. So thank you for all of that clarification.
So imagine mo sa Ilocos Norte, alam ng mga tao na nakatungtong si Bongbong Marcos dun sa foundations laid by both the father and the sister. So it's actually Bongbong Marcos benefiting from all of these efforts. Now, if Amy will not gamble, ang place niya sa history, siya yung magiging benefactor. She will forever be the daughter. She will forever be the sister.
That's it for today's episode. That was political sociologist Ash Presto. If you want to listen to part 1 about the pro-Marcos influence operation flagged by ChatGPT developer OpenAI, we'll leave a link for you in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, drop us a line and share it with your friends. This is Regine Cabato for Teka Teka News, powered by Puma Podcast. Thanks for listening.